No one saw the storm coming from inside those guarded corridors. For a moment, the world assumed the chaos had cooled, that the royal machine had quietly stitched itself back together. That illusion shattered the second this revelation surfaced, leaving Meghan visibly rattled. Because this time, the noise isn't coming from reckless headlines or anonymous leaks. It's coming straight from Prince Andrew's own mouth. And every word he's letting slip is sending shockwaves through the very foundation of the crown. They say when buried truths surface, they don't arrive softly or ask permission, they detonate. That's precisely the phase the palace has entered. Andrew isn't casually confessing or hinting around the edges. He's igniting something the monarchy may not be able to contain. And as for Meghan, sources say fear has set in. She understands the narrative preparing to break won't be kind. No, it isn't gentle at all. And it's definitely not the carefully edited version of reality she's spent years shaping and defending. Let's not pretend Andrew's collapse was minor or forgettable. It was loud, public, and irreversible. The entire planet watched it unfold in real time. His links to Jeffrey Epstein, the explosive accusations from Virginia Roberts, and the humiliation that followed became impossible to escape. In a matter of days, his honors were stripped, his name was poisoned, and every royal corridor that once welcomed him was sealed shut. But here's where the story turns unsettling. If Andrew's proximity to that shadowy circle was enough to erase him from public life, why has Meghan Markle's alleged proximity to the very same world remained completely untouched? Same era, same elite spaces, yet wildly different consequences. One figure dismantled, the other shielded. Where were the screaming headlines, the formal probes, the official palace reactions? There were none. Only quiet. Heavy, intentional quiet. The kind that feels engineered, like someone sealed off Meghan's past behind locked doors and threw away the key. And let's be clear, silence has never been proof of purity. Silence is usually protection. It's avoidance. It's fear of what happens once questions start getting answered. And that's why Andrew's voice matters now. Because the second he starts talking, that silence fractures. And what's slipping through those cracks is forcing people to re-examine Meghan's entire ascent into royal life. Long before the wedding bells, before Harry, before the polished images and fairy tale framing, there have always been murmurs that Meghan's personal history wasn't as distant from powerful, questionable circles as the public was led to believe. A connection to Prince Andrew. Not a brief introduction, not a forgettable moment in a crowded room, but something far more personal. According to individuals who moved within those circles at the time, Andrew allegedly confided to people he trusted that he'd known Meghan long before she ever entered royal life, and that their bond ran deeper than anyone was willing to publicly acknowledge. Sit with that for a moment. Because if that claim holds any truth, then Meghan didn't arrive at the palace as an unknown outsider. She stepped in already linked, already familiar, already woven into a world the public believed she was discovering for the first time. And that reframes everything. It opens doors no one wants opened. The palace has never addressed the obvious questions. Where did they meet? How close were they really? And why did this detail disappear just as Andrew's scandal detonated? If both figures moved within the same elite orbit, why was only one destroyed? Was Meghan quietly shielded? Or was her past considered too volatile to surface? Whatever the explanation, it stayed buried for years. Until now. Because Andrew's sudden readiness to speak is prying open every sealed door the palace hoped would remain locked. And when the trail is followed, it doesn't end in a ballroom or a briefing room. It drifts offshore, into secluded waters, into a private realm tied to Epstein's world, straight into the center of the storm. In 2014, images emerged showing Meghan aboard a yacht. Not a public cruise. Not a charity function. A private vessel. The same rarefied environment Jeffrey Epstein's former partner, Karina Shiliak, once described: private jets, hidden voyages, luxury at sea, and access reserved for a chosen few. She claimed those trips were never innocent escapes. They were part of a tightly controlled ecosystem. Now place those facts side by side. Meghan on a private yacht. The same social tier. The same period. The same elite luxury sphere. You can dismiss it as chance, or you can acknowledge what it suggests: proximity. And in scandals like this, proximity is everything. Because when the fallout came and Andrew was erased, Meghan emerged untouched. Why? Why was that chapter never examined? That yacht image isn't just a snapshot. It's a doorway. A doorway into a portion of Meghan's life that was quietly sealed off. And the story turns even darker. When Virginia Roberts, the woman whose testimony shattered Andrew's world, came forward, she reportedly pushed for Meghan Markle to be called as a witness. Not because of fame. Not because of her marriage. But because she was allegedly viewed as a past close associate of Prince Andrew. Those aren't casual words. They imply someone believed Meghan wasn't distant from Andrew's private circle. That she may have seen things, overheard things, or at the very least been present when that world was operating in the shadows. But the strangest part, she was never called. Her name vanished. Her potential connection disappeared from public record overnight like someone hit delete. The world got silenced again. But silence doesn't erase history. It just buries it. And now with Andrew talking, those buried parts are clawing back to the surface. Because Meghan wasn't some random actress who stumbled into royal life. Before Harry, she was already brushing shoulders with power. And that's where Marcus Anderson enters the picture. When Meghan moved to Toronto to film Suits, she wasn't famous yet, just ambitious. Then along came Anderson, a senior figure at Soho House, the ultra-exclusive club known for its A-list members, secret events, and quiet networking among the world's most powerful people. Anderson didn't just meet Meghan, he opened doors for her, private dinners, elite gatherings, introductions to Toronto's wealthy crowd, connections that stretched all the way to New York and London. Through him, Meghan reportedly met high society figures like Jessica Maroney and started moving in the kind of circles that change lives and reputations. That's when the pattern starts. Step by step, Meghan climbed from actress to socialite, from socialite to insider, from insider to royalty. And here's the bombshell. According to those claims, Harry wasn't the first royal she was interested in. Before Harry, there was Andrew. Yes, that Andrew. Not as a mentor or friend, but reportedly as a potential romantic and strategic target. That flips the story completely. It suggests Meghan's royal connection wasn't luck. It was planning carefully calculated positioning. But standing between Meghan and Andrew was one powerful obstacle. Sarah Ferguson Fergie herself, Andrew's ex-wife, his confidant, and his guard dog. Fergie reportedly blocked Meghan from getting too close to Andrew, seeing through whatever plan was in motion. That's when Meghan's path shifted, or maybe pivoted is the better word. If she couldn't reach Andrew, she'd find another door into royalty, and fate or strategy handed her one, Prince Harry. At first, Harry thought he'd found something pure. Freedom, love, and someone who didn't belong to that cold, rigid royal machine. He saw her as an outsider, a fresh start. But the reality, according to sources, was far from it. Meghan wasn't escaping that world. She was mastering it. And when the opportunity came, she took it. With Harry, she didn't just join the royal family, she pierced its center. And that move changed everything. Not just for her, but for the monarchy itself. Because what followed wasn't a love story. It was fallout, cover-ups, and the slow realization that some secrets never stay buried forever. As Harry settled into married life, whispers started reaching him, quiet, cautious, persistent whispers about Meghan's past. And her alleged connection to Andrew long before they met. At first, he refused to believe them. He defended her fiercely, cutting off anyone, even family, who tried to warn him. But over time, something broke. According to the claims, Harry couldn't ignore what he was hearing anymore. The royal family's warnings suddenly didn't sound like control or jealousy. They sounded like truth. And that truth hit him like a hammer. He reportedly became withdrawn, disgusted, and heartbroken, unable to look at Meghan without remembering the past she never told him about. That's when things started unraveling. The California fairy tale became a cage. What he thought was love started to feel like betrayal. Because if Meghan had truly been close to Andrew or even once had her eyes set on him, then what did that make Harry? A backup plan? A second option? That realization, sources say, shattered him completely. Meanwhile, the palace stayed quiet. Too quiet. No headlines, no investigations, no leaks, nothing. That silence wasn't confusion. It was calculation. The monarchy had three huge fears. First, Harry's mental state. If the truth came out publicly, it could destroy him. The monarchy couldn't afford another royal breakdown. In the spotlight. Second, a second Epstein-level scandal. If Meghan's name was even loosely tied to that circle, it could make Andrew's disaster look small in comparison. And third, reputation collapse. Because if the palace let Meghan in knowing or not knowing about her past, it would make the institution look reckless, incompetent, or worse. So instead of exposing her, they protected her. But not because she was innocent, because protecting her protected them. And while the palace worked overtime to bury the noise, one man inside those same walls had finally had enough. The man who'd already lost everything. Prince Andrew. Imagine standing in silence for years, watching your entire reputation crumble, while someone else, someone who once shared your circle, walks away untouched. That's Andrew's reality. According to whispers, he's furious, bitter, tired of carrying the blame alone. While Meghan remains protected behind royal walls, he feels he took the fall for both of them for a world she was allegedly part of too. And now, sources claim Andrew is ready to talk. Not out of some noble sense of justice, but pure resentment. He's got nothing left to lose, and that makes him dangerous. And he's reportedly not alone. Sarah Ferguson Fergie, the one who once blocked Meghan's path to him, is said to be standing right beside him, aligned and prepared. Together, they hold the kind of information the palace dreads. Details of Meghan's past, her link to Andrew, and what really went on before Harry ever entered the picture. For the first time, the real threat to Meghan isn't from the media. It's from within the royal family. A prince with nothing left to protect. A woman who's seen it all. And a silence that's hanging by a thread. Because the second Andrew decides to open his mouth, that silence dies. And with it, the carefully built image Meghan has spent years perfecting. And this brings us to the most dangerous piece of all. The truth the palace fears could end everything. According to insiders, there exists one secret, one buried fact powerful enough to destroy Meghan's royal chapter forever. A truth reportedly held by Andrew Fergie and even Princess Eugenie. A truth tied to Meghan's early connection with Andrew. To that same social orbit that Epstein once ruled, and to the reason the palace stayed silent all this time. If that truth comes out, Meghan doesn't just lose titles. She loses everything. Her image, her influence, her power, her control. The world will see not a fairy tale duchess, but a strategist who infiltrated the monarchy itself. And the palace, it could fracture completely. That's why Meghan's reportedly panicking. That's why Harry's unraveling, caught between loyalty and disbelief. That's why Charles and Catherine are quietly studying the ship, preparing for impact. Because everyone inside those walls knows if Andrew talks, the royal fairy tale collapses. And when that moment finally comes, when the man who lost everything decides there's nothing left to protect, it won't just be another scandal. It'll be history rewriting itself live, brutal, and unstoppable. And this, as they whisper behind palace doors, is only the beginning.